Did you read the Edmonton Journal on Saturday? Insight, domestic silence. September the 5th.
Honourable member, there is a tradition in this House we don't allow props.
September the 5th, 1972, 5 days after I was married, I realized there was a problem, but could not put my finger on it. Words were spoken, and I felt a shiver on my back and a knot in my stomach. I didn't know it then, but the trap was being set, and I was the game. The trap was released to some degree on Sunday, July 19th, 1981, almost 9 years later, when my daughters and I got on a Greyhound bus for a very difficult 62-hour journey across the country, ending in Yellowknife. The trap was finally broken in May of 1992 when I learned my ex-husband was dead and I could stop looking over my shoulder. My support for this bill comes from the middle of this experience in this trap, a trap that was intentionally or unintentionally supported by society. Silence, blame, guilt, and little to no support grew this injustice for decades, if not centuries. 3 times I left with my kids. Twice I went to shelters. Twice I was forced to return or live on the street. Both times I returned and the violence got worse, and the threats, which he could have carried out at any time, became more frequent and more intimidating. Broken bones, black eyes, sexual assault, and 2 miscarriages as a result of this abuse were only some of the physical atrocities I had to endure. I did not have this kind of experience before in my life before I was married, so I was not prepared for it, or in how I could protect my children and myself. I prayed. I asked God, why was this happening to me? I'm a good person. I've never intentionally hurt anybody or anything in my life. Someone said to me, God helps those who help themselves. I figured I needed to do something, and I did. I finally got away to a woman's shelter and tried to figure out what to do and where to go. Suffice to say, this attempt was unsuccessful, as the limit at the shelter was 2 weeks, and I had nowhere to go. At the end of the 2 weeks, I was forced to return. The next time I left, I was a little more prepared. I had contacted a lawyer before I left. I saved some money and then left again when I saw the chance to run. I met with the lawyer, but I couldn't get a court date for a month. The time in the shelter was only 3 weeks. Again, I had to go back. There was no supports left after the shelter. This time, the abuse was so bad that I thought I would be killed, especially when I awoke from a very tentative sleep with a gun to the back of my head and the clicking sound of the hammer as the trigger was pulled. There were no bullets in the gun, and he laughed hysterically. He beat me, he raped me, and then he threatened that the next time there would be bullets, and he would kill our daughters first to hurt me and then kill me. I knew it would be just a matter of time before he followed through on these threats. I called the police as soon as I could, and he was arrested and then released on his own recognizance, and a restraining order was put in place. I gathered whatever I could. I begged some friends and family for some money to get out of there, and I called the police 16 times in 2 weeks before he was arrested again. Not so much for assaulting me, but because he broke the restraining order. This time, he was held in remand until the issue was settled in court. In court, he was found guilty and sentenced to a year in jail, but this sentence was suspended all but the days he'd spent in remand. He turned, and as he was leaving the courtroom, he said he would kill me. I asked the judge how could he let him go, and the judge said to me, "It's a marital issue. Get a divorce and leave." He proceeded then to give me a lecture on how much it was going to cost to keep him in jail. When I returned to my house, he was there holding my children and my mother-in-law at the point of a gun. At the end of a 4-hour ordeal, his mother rose and asked God to help us, and he ran from the house. We spent a few more days barricaded in the house before we finally had the opportunity to get out and get on that bus and run for our lives. This should never have happened to me or these situations to anybody else. My children have been scarred for their lives, and I will be horrified if anybody in this chamber votes against this bill. Thank you.